Oh my God, there's this story. Actually, there's so many stories. I was like covering a couple on the other thing, but I don't even have the energy for that full anymore. But there's a new one. Oh my God, here's another Andy Dick friend. Okay, I don't even know this one. So, this dude, holy crap. I mean, I actually read through all this and I'm gonna vomit. Pretty typical. Real genius star Gabriel Jarret, 53. He's 53. He's that older Gen X, okay? So we're hitting on it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not kids though. He is. And he's like, he is caught sending sexually explicit messages to who he thought was a 13-year-old girl in a pedophile sting ring set up by creep catcher unit. I don't know what that is. I thought it was like an online thing. I don't know, but creep catcher unit, an organization of vigilantes who expose predators online. Good for you. Yeah, they're all this way though. If you really want to know who, just go after a whole bunch of rock stars, dude. Just totally go at them. Mostly the ones making jokes about it. That's the flag. The ones that are like saying, women are liars. That's a flag. The ones that downgrade any sexual assaults, those ones, that's a flag. Anybody who was friends with Andy Dick, more than likely, that's a flag because they've been getting in trouble. I don't know who this guy is though. He's like from Val Kilmer's 1985 hit comedy Real Genius. I don't remember that movie. I would have been too young there. And then okay, starting Karate Kid 3. I probably saw that, but I don't know, it depends on the year. Like I'm looking at him and I'm just like, oh my God, he looks like a total creepster, just generally. I'm telling you, these guys, like, is that a guy that you're really like, maybe put my kids around this dude? Like, for real. No. Okay, so then, yeah, so they set him up. I am not going to read through these texts because they're pretty damn nasty. So there's like a whole series of texts, and he's going on and he's like, you know what I'm talking about. Like some 14-year-old, like, really kind of knows where he's going. That's that time when, like, the cop came up to me even at 17 and was like, oh, you do this. And I'm like, huh? Like, they're talking to you like an adult. Disgusting. So he's like doing that. Then he's getting sexual. Then he wants to meet up. And then he knows that she, or the fake decoy is like 13 or 14. Okay, going down. Okay, so then it says, according to a document, Jared's ex-girlfriend, seen here, with another woman, accused him of being a pedophile, drug dealer, rapist in 2018. Yeah, nobody did anything, right? Is that what's going on? During an altercation at his apartment, which led to him taking out a restraining order against her. This is the weird thing. So he's such a sociopath. Okay, so let me talk about this one. So he's the bad guy, and then the socio goes and does a restraining order on her. Like the opposite thing. Like it should be her doing it on him, right? I've only had that, not a restraining order, but that thing where that lady called the cop on me when they crashed into my car. And I didn't even know they did it. I'm like, why would you call the cops on the victim? Like, what the hell? Like, it's not a thing where like I came out and I was screaming, yelling at anybody. I didn't even know what happened. And then the cops come busting at my door, and I'm like, huh? And they're like, yeah, they have concerns about you, and they got scared. I'm like, huh? Yeah, so they tried to do that type of thing, but but the cops already had a series of events where they knew that they were abusing me there, and I have no control over living in that place, and it was abusive, it wasn't inhabitable. There was like a million things to it, right? And I was talking ago, nobody calls on me because, like, I'm the one that calls on everybody else, like, when they're being, criminal, right? So I had already called on them, and they were making jokes about me calling the cops on them when they came over to try to do a government scam. And even if I had called the cops to tell them that they did that, they didn't do anything. So no, it was just that. So this is what that is right there. That's what I'm saying. I go, that's such a sociopath thing to do because he's the one that is the problem. And they lived in Malibu, I guess. Yeah, I told you Malibu is a hot den for pedophiles and drug addicts. By the way, people, you think Malibu, it's like, no, there's nothing good over there. It's just rich people able to do what the fuck they want. Okay, so I don't know. How's he living over there? Is he like... This is not the first time the Hollywood star has been embroiled in pedophile the allegations, is all according to the court. Yeah, the ex-girlfriend. And it says on October 29th, he filed a restraining order against Alfano, 31, who he claimed refused to leave his apartment after he put her up for the night, stole his possessions, and loudly accused him of various crimes in front of neighbors. And then she got as much of my neighbor's attention by accusing me of every horrible crime she could think of. I know, this is the gaslight in it. She's nuts, you know, my God. Included but not limited to child molestation, rape, doing drugs, assault, non-sexual, against my roommate, sexual assault against her, etc. Jarret wrote in the temporary restraining order application. Jennifer announced to my neighbor and anyone with an earshot that she shouldn't be near a pedophile like me. Then he has tons of photos with him and Andy Dick molesting him. You know what I mean? Like they're all on each other. And we all know about him. And then he goes like this. So, okay, this is just for anybody else. These are the flags, okay? If some person, male or female, but typically male, this is what it means. They go like this. And you know he's a pedophile, okay? This is what he's saying. Okay? These are the flags. This is how come I'm so good, okay? So, okay, it goes like this. Be careful at whom you throw stones. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. So, who says this a lot, right? Like the Christians, right? Don't they say, don't, throwing stones at glass houses, or, don't come at me or judge people. Like, how dare you even think that I would do such... They start doing this thing, right? Okay, I'm just saying, these are the flags, but we're going to get in. If you knew Andy like I do... Okay, we don't... I was like, Andy's been a problem since fucking... He came out of the womb. Yeah, so he's been arrested a million times. We've seen him on video groping. He's a rapist. He touched a minor. He has grabbed everyone in Hollywood, men, females, anybody. Transgenders probably, and children and dogs, okay? So, okay, he's already doing this defense. And you already know what Andy is, okay? If you're sitting there defending Andy, like, in 2023... you're probably a pedo rapist, okay? But then they go, you're familiar with my expression pictured. In the wake of the fever pitch of righteous... Are we going to go into word salad? Okay, a pitch of righteous anger over sexual abuse, we are bound to see the pendulum swing the other way. Well-intentioned people can do just as much damage in the name of righteousness. No, those people, if you're talking about right-wingers that are sitting there fake crusading about pedophiles, they're pedophiles themselves, so it's kind of a deflection. Is it deflection? Is that the word? It's kind of, to get that attention off them. Yeah. Okay. I beg of you, don't be one of them. Don't use a single word or action to slap a label of sexual harassment, this is good, on someone who had no intention of doing so. Huh? And I pointed this out, like, with these guys, where how they used to look at it, they're like, oh, the intention has to be sexual. Well, first of all, the intention of all this is not about sex, right? None of it. So the intention of you doing something doesn't matter. Like I would talk about the spanking thing, what's going on in your head when you're doing it doesn't matter. The action itself is sexual. And it causes sexual behavior, other sexual behaviors in some people, and some abusive things in others, right? Like all together, right? All of it. All of it. So we don't care what's going on in your mind. It's just the action is sexual harassment. The action is a rape. The action is abuse. So we don't give a shit what the fuck is going on in your mind when you're doing it. Because when you're doing it, it has nothing really to do. It's not about sex itself, right? Power and control, that whole thing, right? Okay. But that's what he's saying, okay? So many people have been affected by truly bad behavior. Yeah, don't join a lynch mob just because it's politically correct climate to do so. And he's a pedophile, so this is his argumentation. So learn this argumentation, and anytime you hear it from anyone in any form of this, no, they are hiding that they're a pedophile and that they have harmed other people, and they're trying to cover their ass, okay? I'm just saying it's a strange way that they shelf this, or he's he's very devious, because when he was writing in those texts, ooh, okay, so he's like, I'm posting this because my buddy Andy, oh, here we go, we have another like fucking, this is my friend, has come under fire for licking a coworker, prompting a sexual harassment allegation. While I can understand how it might be taken that way, I'm fairly certain that this was just Andy being Andy. Wow. Oh my god, that's crazy. That's crazy. If anybody couldn't figure the flag on this guy from the start, Andy's just a rapist, you guys. You need to let him rape. Like, what the fuck? I honestly wish that people didn't erase all the, like, I don't know what happened. So I was trying to figure out like where those comments were, where it was like Andy Dick came up in the targeting of me, like the correlation to it with that guy Matt, because Matt had possibly did his website or something like that. There was a whole thing about it, and I can't find it. And it may have been on the Yahoo group, or it was on I don't know where it's at. I was trying to find the details to it, because when I looked at the website, it had a link to a map, but then that Matt wasn't him. But the Matt that I'm talking about took photos of Andy, and he's my age, right? The guy that took the photos. But Andy's old, and so is the perp, and so my perp is like friends with him and Andy. And they're part of this like little circle of people. And then, like I said, at the same time, then Andy and Marilyn Manson go on TV, right? And they're at that dinner chat thing with Daryl Hannah, and it was going on right there. And I was like, dude, I don't know what the fuck is that about. I don't know if Marilyn took part of any of the online stuff, but I met Marilyn like right then. But it was totally separate, and I didn't even know they were pals. Like, I didn't know this circle. Like, I didn't know. I was just learning. I was like, oh, you guys did a website for Andy, but I'm thinking Andy's not involved because I didn't know Andy. I wouldn't think that Andy would do something like that. Then I had worked with Andy prior, and then I went to school where Andy was at, right? And so Andy was in the crowd. I was telling people about the Chris Farley brothers, right? Yeah, so they know him. I think they know him because we were all at the school together, and they were actually performing one night. And I don't know if it's the night that when the Farley brothers were there. And then, because I went with my friend to go see them do one of the shows at the school. And then Andy had a special room in the back. Like, they called it like the Andy fucking Sutton State. I don't know, some bullshit. So Andy pops up this night, and he's like in the crowd. And so it was early 2000. And I would totally suspect that there's probably tons of victims in that crowd. I walked by him, but he didn't do anything to us, thankfully. But I didn't know he was that bad. Because even when I was working on the news radio, I know that other thing happened, but I didn't know that there was this big blowout, I think. And then he was off by himself. Like, I didn't see him hanging out with anybody there. I saw him hanging off by himself in that 3-man costume thing. Yeah, so it's funny. It's like I've never actually talked to him in his face, but I've literally been right next to him. Like, it was like that. Multiple times, like, well, twice, right? At least on those things. And then the online thing, I have no idea. But it would make sense because I remember like Howard getting all pissed off at him for saying this like anti-Jew stuff. He was like going off, dude. Like there was some bullshit right there. I remember that. Like, yeah, don't be mad at Andy. He's just being an anti-Semitic. He's being a neo-Nazi. Andy's just being Andy. Okay, so the pictures above were taken a few months ago. When the hell was this post? Oh, in 2017. Oh my God, is Matt up in here? Like, I keep thinking Matt, like, totally touched some kids. Because I'm like, there's no way you come and defend this shit unless you're into kids, right? So we call him Photo Matt, because that's the other guy that's up in here. I don't know what he looks like, though. I know his age. I know a lot of things about him because I had to investigate him for the conduct. But I've never seen a picture of that guy. I've never met him in my life. Then they go, yeah, so I'm a child victim and those people were coming at me. So yeah, that's a clear sign. You should go try to target those guys with some shit like that. It says the picture above was taken a few months ago, and I can't pretend that I know what possesses Andy to do this. So we're going to keep enabling him and cuddling him and not call it sexual assault when it is, and rape and everything else, right? Perhaps he's a zombie attempting to lick his way to my brain. Like I'm a human Tootsie Pop. Maybe he's a salt deficient. I don't know, but pretty sure it wasn't sexual in nature. Doesn't matter. What in the fuck am I reading? So please let don't let just any quirk in someone's personality turn them into the next Harvey Weinstein. Wow, this is a lot of gymnastics. I tell you, ASPD son of a bitches. It's like you can get. I don't know how he got here though. This one, but gymnastics. It's like all over the place, right? Didn't your brain just go? You're like on the fucking bars, right? You're swinging around. You got to go to the next bar. Then you're going back up to the top bar, and you're like, how the fuck did we get here? It's just a lot of gymnastics, right? Mental gymnastics. That's what I'm talking about. You'll know when you get a socio when it starts doing this. Then it's like, okay. Make sure it's a pattern that rises to the level. Okay, now we got to go to your bar of abuse. The level of abuse before going on a rampage. Make sure it's a pattern. Oh, it has to be a pattern. He has to actually assault 1,000,000 people. The pattern that rises to the level. This doesn't even make sense. Does it make sense to you guys? Make sure it's a pattern that rises to the level of abuse before going on a rampage. To the level of abuse. What does that mean? I'm very literal, so I was like, can you define that? What's going on in your brain there? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. That's abuse, what he's doing. I'm hurting. Okay, so then it says the victims of actual. See, I try not to use the actual thing too much because unless I'm talking about some people like that somebody made a fake, allegation. And I'm like, no, like actual abuse, victims. But I don't like using that because I've been noticing that these people who are like abusers and calling women liars have been doing this, right? You're going to see it and you're going to see why I try to change my language because the socio is doing this. The victims of actual abuse are disempowered by false or light allegations. There's no such thing as light allegations. You're an abuser, you're a fucking abuser. And so if we see you do something without consent, that is abuse. So there's no such thing. This is men that were doing that. So women, this was something I noticed because we all did it. And so I was like, yeah, women started going out like being very modest and they didn't want to say all their abuses and then sitting there trying to downgrade and minimize. So he's minimizing it right there, right? Minimized some abuses. Like, I know it's not as bad as this. Like doing that, it's all bad. It's all bad. No, it's correct. It was all bad. Even the hand on the leg thing was all bad. I said we all did it, right? We all stumbled all over this because of the male supremacy. These guys right here. So he's minimizing his conduct. So he's fine with just randomly grabbing some butts and licking faces and everything and not calling it abuse. Then you're promoting rape because that's an action of no consent. And then that's it. He's just minimizing it to nothing. So any guy can go rape him too. And he's like, it's totally fine. You know, Andy can rape me all day, you know, and he's enabling it, right? He's like, always speak up against abuse. Just make certain that's exactly what it is. Oh, like we wouldn't know what abuse is. I mean, you seem to not, but I'm pretty sure you do. And the whole thing is you're just trying to cover your own butt. That's how you shelf when you go touch a little kid. That's how you shelf it when you're touching little kids. That's what I'm saying. I go, when you read this, because we already know he goes and he's into little children, right? We already know Andy's conduct. And I already know that crowd fucking through and through what they did and went after child victims, okay? So this thing here, this is the language. If you see it, that is the flag. And so if you want to go target these guys that are talking just like this in any format, go for it. Because they have it shelved funny, right? That's the brain of a socio. That's why I said I go, it's fucking crazy. But it's all like, it's wired all fucking twisty like that. A sick, crazy drug addict and said that she will not stop until I lose my rent control apartment in beautiful Santa Monica. I thought it was Malibu, but I guess maybe they just got a Malibu address to make them sound like they're special. I don't know. But yeah, it's her fault, right? It's the woman's fault for him being a pedophile abuser. So he flipped it onto the woman. I love this. He's a major danger. But this is pretty typical of men doing this. The court granted the restraining order and later dismissed the case when both sides did not pursue it. It's interesting they gave him a restraining order, but, you know, it's like out of... It's funny that they would deny one of mine just because of income thing. Yeah, there was one. It wasn't because it wasn't real, because I still have the videos and everything to it. It was real. And the cops told me to go do it. And they were asking me about income. I said I have low income at that time or something like that. And then they didn't want to do it. And I was self-employed. And so they were like, well, you have nothing to prove or something to do with that. And I was like, I don't have it. And I just had got a restraining order not too long before that, but at a different courthouse. And they didn't even go on like this. Because again, I had a police thing. So on this thing, I had a police thing. And yeah, it was crazy. The courthouse here in Van Nuys, they could have got me killed, like basically. And his right here is made up. So he was able to get it. I just find that interesting. Mine's not made up. His is made up. I'm assuming it's a different courthouse. I mean, I don't know, it's Santa Monica. So he would be, I don't know, there's probably one over there. He's like, I'm posting this because my buddy Andy has come under fire. Okay, so he said all that. And then he's like, okay. Jarret did not respond to the Daily Mail request for comment. Daily Mail's hilarious at times. Wait, is there no comments? Wait, let me see if there's any comments. Yeah, there's 88. Let me see what these people say. There's a ton of pedophiles on Daily Mail every day, but let's see what they say. This is so horrible, and look at the narcissist lies popped out of his mouth. Okay, well, somebody caught that much. Melbourne. So many ads that sometimes it'll go on this, like, okay. I worked with him on Real Genius, and he was a kid and seemed a little pervy then, too. Yes. So, here's the thing with that, and why I keep pulling this up. That conduct right there is something from childhood. So when you notice it, it shouldn't be brushed off, but that's what's happening. And so we need to be more aware of this, and people need to start turning these guys in so they don't become like older adults and doing this conduct for 20, 30, 50 years, right? So yes, you caught the ASPD asshole as a kid. So you saw it. There's flags, right? There's flags because you're hindsighting it, and that's the stuff that needs to be tackled when you see that. Okay. Then someone goes, men are so gross. Yeah, they're a bunch of pedo rapists. So yeah, a lot of them. It's disturbing to read these messages sent from a 53-year-old man to whom he believes to be a 14-year-old girl. You'll be surprised, most of these guys even on here, some of these guys that'll post on here that are acting like, oh my God, this is so gross, is actually totally fine with it. And the way you can find how they're fine with it is how they respond to things like Me Too or women's rights stuff. But sometimes they will present themselves like they're for that too. But the one thing, it's very hard for them to keep that going constantly in their conversation with anybody, because it's a general thing where they view women as objects. So they'll start like minimizing, they'll minimize certain actions, just like this, like like he licked his face or something. They're like, it's not that big a deal, right? Or they will like not care about women's careers. Like there's a number of things. Like I already have it all set up in my head, like how to find them, because it's an automatic thing now. But I'm trying to verbally explain to you guys like what are all these different things that I'm picking up. And there's a million of them, right? Like it's like, because they're all different. But it's like they'll say these certain things and then it's like, oh, flag, there it is. And just anybody that would view you as an object, you'll see the language. It's so they can't mask that. It's hard. Like they could try to go in a circle and be like, oh yeah, we're for women's rights, we're for this. And then all of a sudden in the background they're like, oh yeah, that slutty whore or something. Yeah, so it's contradictory, right? So they're fake presenting in the other format, and then they'll do things like this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guy did. He's like, well, he was honest about it too. He's like, well, I guess I could have just got a black, that was his word, a black and a woman, and just to avoid this controversy. Yeah, like something like that. But he's admitting that that's what people do, because it is what people do. They use us as objects, so they view everybody as an object. So they're telling you I'm a sociopath. Like basically that's part of the thing about it. So the language is there of them telling you that they have that personality disorder, but also at the same time they're telling you I'm a rapist and I'm a male supremacist or whatever the bullshit is, right? They're telling you that information through their language. And so I'm listening to it, and then everybody has this problem though, right? But there's kind of a level of like, you can kind of tell when someone, like I was pulling out like the grooming, the girl that got groomed, and I'm like, well, you could start breaking it down to knowing like it's not a thing, like how that happened, right? Like you could just go through the thing and see like how that, because she was 14 too, right? So she's in a crowd of men who are grooming her. And so then it becomes a normal thing to her. So if this 14-year-old girl that was, if this is a fake pawn, for this guy, but let's say it was a real 14-year-old girl, and then he gets a hold of her, and then they get stuck together for years, she may sit there and be like, this is totally fine. Nobody knows what they're talking about. Our relationship is great and I love him to death and he's the greatest person in my life. It could turn out to be sounding like that. But regardless if it sounds like that, she's groomed and she's a victim. And so they kind of warp with the kid's head. There's a whole thing to it. To all little girls, because when we were all little kids, I was at one thing where I was like, I'm not going to go on this long, huge explanation for it. When we were little girls, like developing years, right? Like the development years of that, like whatever it is, infant, 3-year-old to like 8, 9, in that period, the cartoons were done in a way too, where it was like, we're like the submissive and then the boys can like come and rape us and do, you know what I mean? All the Disney stuff was really bad. And I was pointing out the Disney thing, and then they try to confuse me with the freaking QAnon people. I go, no, it's two different things. They got in trouble for promoting human trafficking in their park, and so they took the human trafficking thing out of it. Like it used to be part of the what was it, the Pirates of the Caribbean. So they had a whole thing where they had women lined up and they put whore or whatever it was. It was like wench, something, something. And so all kids were seeing this. And I saw it when I was little too. And so they had a human trafficking thing there. It's crazy, but that's a real thing. And so they finally take it away, like after decades. And then, yeah, there was a lot of things like that that you picked up as a little kid. And, you know, going on daddy issues. It's like men had a problem. And so they had a problem with women. So dads were such shit fucks to their daughters most of the time. And so there was a whole thing to it. But anyway, yeah, my parents were like 9 years apart. So, but they were way older when they got together. So it wasn't a thing where it was like my dad was all like 20 and she was like 12. It was more that she was in her mid 20s and he was in his mid 30s. So to me, that age difference seemed okay. Just because those are my parents, right? So anytime you see some bullshit like that, like the parent could be 20 and they're with a 14-year-old kid, and then that's the normal for that family right there. And so then it's hard for them to see past that like, oh, your dad's like a total predator, dude. Like, what the fuck? That's not, like that. Yeah, that was going on. Okay, so then it's like, I cannot imagine anyone wanting a child in that way. Seems to be something in society, specifically these days, creating that impulse. Oh, these days? See, again, nobody. Oh, well, you're in Czech Republic, Prague. Let me see something, because I've never checked the age of consent in this area. Let me see. What are you talking about? Czech Republic, their age of consent is age 15, you guys. 15, and they're saying this. They're saying this. I'm just saying, this is like, get a clue. I cannot imagine anybody wanting a child in that way. Seems to be something in society. But your age of consent there is 15. So this girl that he thinks he's talking to is 15. So she's like on her way to be just old enough, right? Specifically these days, creating the impulse. Now, if I go back to the history of the Czech Republic there, it's probably going to be way lower because everybody's states were at like 10 to nothing, okay? So it's not these days. Repress people? No, it's not about that. I don't know. The subject more than any other deflates me. No, 70 people thumb you up and only 2 people thumb you down. This is kind of an idiotic comment. So it's been a problem since centuries. So that's one thing. Men are sociopaths, so that is another thing. So, and male supremacy is a huge problem across the globe, right? Across the globe, okay? Actually, what is the dominant religion in Czech Republic? Let me see this. Ah, Catholics. Okay, the religious identity of the country has changed drastically since the first half of the 20th century, when more than 90% of Czechs were Christians. As of 2021, 11.7% of the population identify with Christianity, almost entirely Catholicism, while 10.8% identified with other religious identities or beliefs. Is that right? I don't know. I'm questioning this. This one's interesting. So in 1921, Christianity was at 91.5%. And Catholicism was at 82. Roman Catholics, 82. Does that make sense? Roman Catholic, 81. Why is it saying the percentage 82, 80? And its total was 91.5. I have to understand how they did the diagram. Okay, it's all church, Jehovah Witnesses. Yeah, so I mean, and it's all other Christians. It's basically all Christian. So in 1930, it goes down to 90%. Not that much, okay? Like just a little. In 1950, it goes to 93.7. In 1991, so from 1950 to 1991, so we have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 40 years, right? It's at 43%. I don't understand what you would need an explanation as to why that had that huge a drop. Because we should know what happened there so we could do it here. Like, no. But I don't understand why it usually doesn't drop that much. It's like kind of like slowly like going down. It's just quite that's like a almost a 50% drop, more than that, right? Yeah. I don't know why that occurred. And then in 2001, you'll see it didn't drop like that much, but it went to 30%. So it has a slower decline, but it's only 10-year span there. So okay, so let me think some math here. So for 40 years and it drops, let's say they drop 10% per 10 years there, then it went down to 30%. That would make sense. 1991 to 2001, it dropped another 10%. Almost, right? Just the rough estimate. Then in 2011, so I would think like this: if I drop 10 more percent from 30, it should be like at 20 something. Instead, it goes to 13.2%. But then in 2021, it goes to 11.7. So there's not a huge drop in that 10 year span, but it dropped massively. I haven't seen that actually like that. But what's going to happen with this, regardless of that, since the original indoctrination was Christianity, the country is going to hold that ideology regardless, and all their laws that are probably still on the book and what they're teaching their kids. And the MS part of it is always going to be there unless you target it specifically, and the child abuse and all that other stuff. Now, if I go look into the rape statistics here, it might reflect that. Let me see. That will take a lot longer to go through because they have it in parts, and so I'm not going to do that. But it would, yeah. So their population is religious, atheists, agnostic, or other religion life stances. That's quite interesting. That's an interesting thing where it's at now. But the unfortunate thing with this one, which I know, is that atheists still hold the Christian ideology. Just the only thing that's different with them is that they drop the God portion. So they will drop the God portion, and the rest of it, though, raping women, their objects, all those things are still present. And that was absolutely obvious, mostly in that 2014 section there with all the atheist men online that were promoting pedophilia and trashing women and saying we were born strong. That's the same ideology from the Bible portion. So they're not ridding of that whole thing because the society itself was built up and created by that Christianity, that ideology thing first. So they're not ridding of the thing that they need to rid of. That's kind of the thing there. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting to look at. So this person is just full of shit. They don't get anything in life. So yeah, your country is fine with raping 15-year-olds. That's basically back from the Christian stuff. Yeah. So, then, someone goes busted, enjoy solitary confinement. He looks like Till Linderman. Who is that? Let me see who that is. Oh, that's that fool from the Ramsey guy that did that too, right? Oh my god, they do look alike. That's fucking creepy. I was looking going, are you guys making a joke because he was in a movie or something? That's fucking weird. You're on point, dude. That's fucking creepy. Oh my god, I just went through his stuff too. Because he got in trouble for the same thing, right? And he's a pedo. They're both pedo. Yes, he has a creepy look, right? Okay, so made the mistake of thinking he's as smart in the real life as the character he played. Men just think they're smarter than us all. Why has this predator not been arrested? 'Cause, 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 'cause I would hate if my name was Pedro because you're only like one letter off from pedo. Like what? Um, yeah, because the general population is fine with rape, basically, and going after little girls and making the excuses that the guy that just wrote all that stuff did. They're all sicko. It's amazing how the urge to be with an underage child overweighs the consequences that come with being caught. That must be a powerful desire similar to heroin or meth. No, but the high that they get might be similar to if you did heroin or meth. Because they're seeking highs, right? They don't, it's not an urge, like, it's not like, oh my God, this thing. Wait, they need to do something dangerous and something that will harm self and others, right? So you're saying it, right? Like, isn't it crazy that somebody would do something so dangerous? I would say that more than urge. Like, do something so dangerous to do a crime where it outweighs the consequences. Now, ASPD, they don't care about consequences, so that doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. The consequences, no. And this is that come with being caught. So that must be a powerful desire similar to heroin or meth. So I've said, I go, it's like a high for them to go do these type of things. Like I said, the one guy, like I said, it's not always criminal, but it's like, okay, so you go jump on top of a car, a moving car, right? And it's almost like, I want to be a daredevil today, but you could totally die doing it. But they want the thrill of doing something that dangerous. And then the guy dies, right? Or the guy fell off the building. That one guy fell off a building too. They all died. So they're just sociopaths, but they're just doing, and some people make fun of them. Like I said, it's all self-harm. And sometimes it's funny when they do stupid shit, but the thing is, it's self-harm to them and others. So those are two instances where it was just a self-harm to themselves and they died. Then prison, public humiliation, family embarrassment, and listed as a sexual predator for life. Well, they don't really care that they're... It depends who you're asking. Okay, so they have this thing where these guys are such idiots. Okay, so they hate the word, like some of them, not all of them. Some of them hate the word pedophile, okay? So they don't want to call what he did here a pedophile. He's going to get mad that you're calling him a pedophile. And he might actually fake crusade and say, I'm against pedophiles. But you have to be very specific with these people because you got to go, what is your definition of it? Because here he can argue, oh no, that's not me being a pedophile. I think that's the normal age that we should be able to go after is 14. If you're talking about going for an infant, then yeah, but I'm not going after infants. That's them in their argumentation. And you'll notice they completely disregard the human in it, right? They don't care about the victim, right? That it's about them, so they don't care. Oh, I totally harmed this little girl. It's all about him. He's like, I think that she's old enough for me. I don't really care about what she thinks or what I do to her. It's about me, me, me. You'll see that, right? Sex crimes include the desire to completely control someone. Thank you. These people go after soft targets and well, actually, they go after anyone. It depends. It depends. Okay, so it depends on that's why I said they're all individuals. So it depends on who they target. Because I would love to be able to blanket statement and go, oh, they all go for, these innocent little kids. That's not actually technically true. They can go for really smart business women. They could go, it depends who you're talking about. But the main thing is, yeah, to control someone. Like they might see, like, I'm thinking like maybe the major power play there, like if it's some businesswoman or something, like it's like a challenge to them. So they might like want to really see if they can manipulate her to do this thing, right? It just depends like on their bullshit. We've been talking all these different types and ones that done so many different things that it's like, I wish you could just write a few paragraphs going, it's like this. You can't. Like this guy's major gymnasium, okay? Like he's like, oh, Andy Dick. I mean, who the fuck is defending Andy Dick? Uh, their actions and intent is no different than a lion who tries to separate the newborn wildebeest calf from the herd, and we all know what happens when the predator is alone with the prey. But sometimes it's just a group of them, right? And then they get a whole bunch of girls or guys and they do everything right in front of everybody, and there's not really a need to do the separate from the pack thing. So the crazy ex-girlfriend's claims were actually true. Yeah, sometimes don't be so quick to discount what someone is telling you. Dudes just ooze creepiness. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They keep calling the women, the ex-girlfriends nuts and crazy and, this. And I just seen it in that other case, that serial killer case, where I said, like, Daily Mail, I don't know where the story is. It was like, I don't know. I'm not even going to look for it. But it was like, one of the ex-wife, said to look at her husband because he might be the killer. And then he goes into Daily Mail because they checked him out. And he's like, she's just crazy and has a wild imagination. And he's just gaslighting because he's obviously has serial killer traits. And so he's minimizing her thought about it and then basically calling her a nutcase. And he's totally fine. Yeah, that's what he did. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no, I mean, who the hell's sitting there thinking you shouldn't have anybody think that you're a serial killer, because then you know what I mean? Like you have those traits. None of this surprise these days, as it seems to be an epidemic among men and women, and our morals are in the gutter. It's not these days. It's always been. Even people have been long dead for hundreds of years. There's like this going on. Thank you. I know, it just cracks me up. These people are like, this is a brand new problem. It's like, wow, nobody knows their state laws, do they? At least as far as the age of consent thing goes, because there's some states that allow 14. So then therefore it wouldn't even be illegal. I don't know about in America right now, but they might let you marry a 14-year-old still, because they were still allowing child marriages in places. Which is the same thing. Like, try to wrap your mind around that. Like, it's a gymnasium, right? Oh, it's a pedo if, this, but oh, if you go and get him as property, you could rape him to death. Yeah, Don't tape it, though, because if you tape it, that's a bad thing. But you can go ahead and rape them. Like somehow taping them is somehow worse than the actual crime itself. It's not. It's a secondary to it. It's all bad. But they're acting like the action of taping it is worse than the actual crime, which is an insult. And then they're sitting there letting kids get raped at that age to begin with. But then they're saying that's legal. But you can't tape your wife, or your girlfriend that we're allowing you to rape. It just doesn't make any fucking goddamn sense. Mental gymnastics of MS. Okay. This should be an automatic life sentence. Damn, that's even difficult to read. What the heck did he think was going to happen? I go, socios have the fucking craziest brains, don't they? I think you felt it, my sunshine. From Los Angeles. Whoever you are. That actually might be a female. Yeah, like, didn't your brain just kind of go, like, disaster? Like, what the fuck? It went all over the place, didn't it? Those are signs. Those are total signs of their wiring. It's a gymnasium. That's the only way I could explain it, like in the way that my brain has to go through it. But sometimes it'll make sense, but it's like all over the place. Like I can get where they came to a point, but it's like like if you took a bunch of string and you just wrapped it up in a ball, and it's just like all over the place, right? It's all wired fucking weird. And then so it's shelved all strange, right? He's like making up like these weird excuses like, um, don't look at Andy as a sexual predator. You need to look at him as my crazy friend. So don't sit there and say he's a sexual predator. And it's like, what? Like, I don't know, but it starts doing that. Like he's trying, because I think it's about like he's trying to make a defense around he's my friend, just that alone, right? And there's no defense. So then it's like, maybe he's like treating me like a lollipop, like he went there, like you're just like trying to make a defense where none can be had. That's the only way I can explain it, maybe, because it's like the main meat of it is him trying to defend Andy just as his friend. That's just like Mila and the Ashton thing. But Ashton is also a predator. So his argumentation is in the same way that this guy's is, where he has to defend. It's exactly the same. So him and Danny Masterson, because everybody's laughing because I keep saying his last name differently. Okay. They're both predators, right? So when one gets busted, if the other one goes, oh, that's so terrible that his conduct is like that, then what happens is he gets targeted back of them saying, oh, do you remember that you did this to a whole bunch of people and you have no room to talk? Like it starts doing this, right? So your best option is to be like, God, I never seen this conduct before. Wow, he's my friend. He's a good guy. He would never do that type of thing. Because then it starts outing him because they both did it. That's why I'm saying I go, it's highly likely that Ashton did the same crime. So I'm trying to explain how I came to my conclusion versus his bullshit. When you start reading these people, how did you come to your conclusion? It's like, what the fuck? So because, as you see, and then we started seeing, I didn't even need to see the other videos yet. It was like, then they started coming out after the fact. So I'm reading off of the way they're presenting themselves, right? So then it's saying, I would be okay with this conduct here. And if therefore I'm okay with this conduct here, I probably most likely did it too. Because if it's a thing where you, even if it was like a thing where maybe you are fine with it, but you wouldn't do it yourself. I don't know too many of those, but that could be. Then you would still stand up here and go, oh yeah, that's absolutely terrible because I never did it before. You know what I mean? And maybe you're like, now I know how to stand on this fucking topic. It could be something like that. But that's not what was going on here. So here it's the same thing. It's like, I know Andy is a rapist, but I relate to Andy because I'm also a rapist. So I need to defend Andy in the sense that I need to protect myself. So I need to protect myself and I need to protect Andy. Does anybody get that? But that's why. And so then I can get information from them when they're talking to know that they're also a pedo. So it's not me just running around going, you're a pedo, you're a pedo. A lot of them are pedos. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of me saying these guys are pedos. But yeah, it's the language. So, and what it is I'm reading off of, like, it's not like I'm not trying to make it a secret, or it's not a thing where you should have to go to school to learn. It's something that everybody should be able to read off of and go, oh, here's an alarm. That's really what it should be. But the problem is that the general public is totally fine with all that shit. So like the alarm doesn't matter. Like they could see it all day. They're like, I'm fine with it because, it either happened to me and I'm a groomed person, or we're fine doing it to other people. But even if they're a groomed person and they're fine with it, those same people will not out those people, and they may also do that conduct. It's a may, because in my situation, there was no want to be with kids, but it was sort of a thing, and I didn't okay the situation. So that may be why. It was one of those things where it's like, I have this thing going on, but I don't want to tell anybody, and it's totally horrible, and I'm just trying to get around it. It's more like that than it is like, I had no idea this is bad. And, I thought we all do it. Now, there's cases of me thinking that way for other things, but not being with kid, not that thing. But I do recall, the male portion of things was in question because one of the things that they would tell us all is that men can't be raped and how could you rape a man? And so we would just repeat it. Not necessarily that I would go and rape a little boy. It was like, well, they're saying that, so I have no desire to be with a young little boy. But it made it like it desensitized that right there. So if it, like, let's say I find out, well, I mean, it's not even necessarily true because when that one, well, kind of, sort of. So when I was on set and I said that that guy was saying that Andy did orgies with a bunch of boys, I was kind of like thinking like, ew, what? I was thinking like, is it with little boys or is it like, I don't know. I didn't get into the whole thing with them, but it was one of Andy's friends that was part of that thing. And I was like, I don't know. It was already bad though, but I'm already kind of reacting to it, but not like fully how I would today about it. It was kind of like, that's gross and what? I don't know. But I didn't think to go, oh, how young? Whereas today I would. It wasn't a thing where I'm like, oh, cool. So I was still not on the side of like that's totally fine. It was more like I don't where am I supposed to stand with it? But that's still gross. It was like that, more like that. I guess he's not that much of a genius after all. The disturbing to read messages from okay, so I read all of that. And then I think I read them all, unless there's like a new one. To Catch a Predator was one of my best shows on television. Chris did a phenomenal job in catching dirty men. um, there was a couple on there where I think they could be rehabilitated. Um, I don't know what's the difference. Like I have to sit and stew on it. Like when these certain types that they get, like there'll be this one that like may have never done anything before, right? And then for some reason somebody pops up in them and they're like, "Oh, opportunity." And they're not it's not a real opportunity, but they present a real opportunity to them and they may have never done anything before, right? And then they go do that. And in which case that may be the real possibility of where you could probably rehabilitate that person like pretty good. They're saying all kinds of things like they can be rehabilitated and all this stuff, but when you get to the level of this sociopath portion, no, that's not it's a fact. Like they are not there's no cure for it. So the what like I said, the things that we don't know about it is that like they haven't been tackling it early enough. That's number one, and tackling the child abuse portion of that to how it's created and coming in at the earliest point to correct that. And then two, people acknowledging they have it at a later point. Their narcissist part of them is not allowing that to happen, and they don't have certain things developed to even give a shit. So it would be almost impossible to get them to not act in that way or to look at it and be disgusted by it. It would be some occasion, like I said, they would have to really like see it and then hate it, like hate that they're being a certain way, and how that would happen I don't know, but and then go through massive treatment to try to work with that. And they may never be better. It may just be a thing where it's just like, okay, well, I have to try to at least not act out in this way, but they won't have any emotions towards us. It's just not to act out, but they'll still shelf things all like wacky wiry like this. It's still and I just still don't think my friend Andy is a sexual abuser. But okay, I myself won't touch any more kids. It'll stay kind of like that, if I can explain that properly to you guys. Feel comfortable with that guy still? That's why they reoffend sometimes. So, like, you have a guy who's like, I'm not going to take responsibility that I'm actually the one that is the perpetrator. Or that I'm not going to look at it that Andy is ever the perpetrator. He's an innocent guy, okay? And then this guy's like, I am not going to offend again, okay? So would you trust him? That's what I'm saying. Would you trust that guy for sure to put him back into the population that he's not going to do that again? Because the thing that's needing to be changed is the thing going on in his brain there, right? That thing right there. Because he tells himself when he goes and he does these things that it's totally fine. And it's actually like, they'll sit there and blame the kid. They'll go, well, the kid, you know, or the woman over here is the one that wanted it. So, you know, they'll do this thing. So it's like, okay, well, if you put them back out and they're still thinking in that way, there's a good chance they may later, even though they may not right now. But then there's another chance that they may not act out because they don't want to get into any more bustation. It just depends. But that's what I'm saying. It's not exactly changing that brain activity going on there, that whole inner structure of how they think. Yeah, and then Ashton steps down from anti-child sex abuse organization Thorn and apologizes again for writing letter, blah, 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 blah. Russell Brand. Russell Brand's in trouble too. That's another guy where I was like, I don't know. Let me see what this says. Like I said, and they tell me not to be judgmental. I was like, I have to be. These people are predators. This is for survival, ladies. You have to. That's the church telling you, just put your guard down. Let him rape you, you know? Okay, let's see what he did. Russell Brand took his YouTube channel on Friday to absolutely deny that he called serious allegations made against him in a letter and email ahead of a mystery Channel 4 dispatch investigation. This is interesting. So they did an investigation on him. The most anticipated program is set to air at 9 p.m. with speculation building over who or what could be at the center of the investigation. Sources say that the long-running current affairs documentary series will feature details about well-known celebrity, which male have been told are shocking. Shocking! And though there's no indication Brand will be discovered in the program, he made a video addressed to his fans. The comedian, actor, internet personality told his 6.5 million subscribers late on Friday that there are very, very serious criminal allegations made against him, which absolutely refutes. Brand said that he had received 2 extremely disturbing letters from a mainstream media TV company and a newspaper. The letter listed a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks which are untrue. Okay. Okay. Posting the video on X where he has 11 million followers, he said the allegations pertain to a time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspaper all the time, and when I was in the movies. And as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. I'm glad I was never that, because I'm not going to have these things. And we don't want those guys. So, during that time of during the time, from the time he was being a prostitute, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. Oh, this is his version, though. Okay, I was always transparent about that then, and I am being transparent about it now as well. Well, you're already looking at women as objects here, so your credibility is not good right there. You're jumping ahead of the story. And to see that transparency mesitized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Oh, okay, now we're going into there's a conspiracy. Amongst the very serious allegations made, Brand said that there was also a litany. Well, that would mean you would have to go like this. That would mean that the people that you had these rendezvous with decades ago or whenever the hell this was, didn't like you to begin with, and they wanted to plot some weird thing against you for no fuck reason in like the far off future. Like, you know, they want to kind of go there. Okay, amongst the very serious allegations made, Brown said there was also a series of astonishing attacks, which he called some pretty stupid stuff, including calls for his community festival and Hey on a Y to be canceled. Well, it depends what's in this report. The comedian and actor went on to add that we've seen coordinated media attacks before, referring to Joe Rogan announcing he had taken anti-drug thing. Oh, really? You're gonna connect Joe Rogan? Oh boy. Okay. This guy's not that bright either. Okay. Mm-hmm. I never really liked this guy. I'm just telling you guys, like, I listened to him for like a 2 hot second thing, and I was like, he's kind of annoying. He's kind of an egomaniac. And then I kind of ended it there. He's just not my cup of tea. And so none of this would surprise me none, right? Okay. So he's saying that Joe Rogan is a poor victim because he was taking horse shit, and he's comparing himself with him as a victim. That's really fucking weird. Okay, so then he's like, Brown said he was aware of newspapers making phone calls and sending letters to people he knows for ages and ages, claiming he feels there's a serious and consorted agenda to control these kind of spaces. Well, if you did something, then people have the right to go investigate that and see, like, what you did. Like, did you not answer properly? Like, if you didn't do anything, then you would talk to them and they get your side out, right? But he says, I need my voice along with your voice. Oh, so you're going to use your fans there. Okay. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous sexual conduct in the past, but what I seriously refute are these very serious criminal allegations. Because they're probably saying you're a rapist, so that actually might be true, and you already are saying that you treat women like shit right there. But anyway, I think of them as objects just for yourself. So, like I'm saying, that's kind of an open door for that to happen. Not for fake allegations, but for that to happen. So also it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses who evidence directly contradicts the narrative. Oh, were people watching guys have sex? Like, I don't know. Like, it sounds like it's being something like that. So if they have witnesses, then they probably should get arrested too. There's rape in this, but okay. So the mainstream media outlets are trying to construct apparently in what seems to me a coordinated attack. Okay. So, and he looks fucking crazy, you guys. He looks a little bit on the manic-y side. His eyeballs just like, what do you mean, of course, they don't like the competition? Throughout the clip, he mentioned how subscribers of his YouTube channel have previously written in the comment section, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you. Yeah, he's like this poor victim. He's not. I want you to stay close, stay awake. But more importantly than that, if you can, please stay free. Stay free is a phrase frequently used to end his videos on his channel. Stay free. Why does he tell his people maxi pads? Stay free is a phrase he frequently used to end his videos on his channel. Maxi pads. He's like, keep your maxi pads handy, men. Men. Okay, wait. The video attracted comments from thousands, including Elon Musk, who responded to Brand's 2-minute thing. Of course they do. Yeah, he's ridiculous. He's a socio too. Brand's statements came amid rumors on social. I like Elon Musk thing where the brother's like trying to paint him as this like angelic guy. He's like this sweet old man, and these women are toxic, like something stupid. And I'm like, the most toxic person in the room is Musk. Okay, so I mean, his last name is Musk. You know what I mean? That stinky shit. So that's, yeah. Okay, so it says Brand's statement came amid rumors on social media about whether a scandal about a famous person could feature in the investigation airing today. The network confirmed on its online listing yesterday that they were showing it at 9 Saturday night. Oh, I can't wait. I was like, where's this? Let's see. And there has to be some truth to it. I mean, some type of The Channel 4 News anchor Strictly Stars post fueled more speculation about the 90-minute special. He tweeted a picture of the schedule alongside the caption, "Sum things up," before deleting it around an hour later. Sources close to Mr. Guru Murthy, 53, who has worked for Channel 4 for 25 years, said that he was told to take it down as the nature of the program is sensitive. Dispatches have screened various investigations in years. Okay. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very close together. One person that I wouldn't be surprised about. Let me see. Russell Brand. Watch if I just go rape. I'm just going to look that up. Russell Brand is accused of rape and sexual assault. Yeah, I believe it. 4 women from the years 2006 and 2013. Yeah, it was a rape fest, man. Even in 2005, right? And I got targeted. Yeah. So all these guys be acting like this. I am going to believe the victims. Because he actually has the personality of that. Like I said, if I'm not clicking with you, you're probably a problem. I trust myself. I have been raped a million times. I literally can read the fucking rape off their face. No, but I wasn't thinking about him because I'm not looking at him like, oh, he's hot, I want to get with him, or I really think much about him other than I thought he was a little fucking weird. I did. And he's also a comedian, and most of those guys are a bunch of rapists anyway, so we got another Andy Dick friend probably here. Okay, so let me see. One. Oh, shit. One woman alleges that Brown raped her against a wall in his home, in his LA home, and she was treated at a rape crisis center on the same day. Oh, wow. The Times says it's seen medical records to support this. Holy fuck. How did this stay out of the media? A second woman alleges that Brand assaulted her when he was in his early 30s and she was 16. Oh, he's a pedophile. Aren't they all? All rapists, like, will go for kids. I mean, it's just sort of this thing. And still at school. Wow. Okay. She alleges he referred to her as the child. Ew. During an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship. Can we vomit? This is why nobody had outrage on my story. Nobody. Not even the media. This is exactly why, you guys. This is the real truth. It's not, oh, we think they're liars. It's like, oh no, we're totally fine. We all rape everybody. Like, what's your problem, little girl? Okay, so the third woman claims that Brandon sexually assaulted her while she worked with him in LA, and that he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone else about her allegations. I believe it. He's going on right now, like, it's a conspiracy, guys. I'm going to use my 11 million followers to go fucking target all this, and don't believe anything that's being said, okay? The fourth woman alleged being said. Now, these victims have a lot of people to go up against, okay? Because our perpetrators are a bunch of losers now, and they've lost all their fan base, you know? I mean, versus from, the 90s when they were, still kind of, well, they were dying out, and then, but, yeah, they have millions of fans too, but Russell has more than them, because, yeah, on social media, yeah. The third woman claims that Brandon sexually assaulted her while she worked with him. Okay, the fourth woman alleged being sexually assaulted by Brand, with him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her. Hey, what about Katy Perry? Dude, weren't they married during here? Wait a minute. Wait, the actor and comedian said he had received letters from a TV company about the aggressive attacks. They probably asked him if he wanted to respond. These allegations pertain to a time. Okay, and then he said all that bullshit. While not referring to the comedian by name, the Metropolitan Police said it was aware of media reporting of a series of allegations of sexual assault, but had not received any reports. So if anyone believes they have been a victim of a sexual assault, no matter how long ago it happened, we encourage them to contact the police Where are they talking about? That wouldn't be LAPD is totally fine with it. The Sunday Times said all the women felt ready to speak only after being approached by reporters. The news report felt compelled to do so. Is it in this country? Metropolitan Police. But these crimes happen in LA, like the ones there. And LAPD was pro-raping us then, so I had a rape in 2005, so... Oh, you want me to go report the Dio camp? I'm fine with that. And that other guy that was hanging out with the fucking LAPD. Yeah, but the problem is when I go to report this stuff, they deny me to allow me to file a report. And so that's the addition in my stuff. I don't know about anybody else, but in my stuff, I have a block from the police. So for me to report anything, technically speaking, like I need a lawyer representing me and then to go in there. That's how fucked up it is now. So Russell engaged in the behaviors of a groomer. Looking back, but I didn't even know what that was then. Yes, thank you. I was like, I had the same thing, but I was actually trying to explain to people in 2001, right? Like grooming. I was saying it like this. It was something like, yeah, you know, like a kid gets groomed. It was like, you know, the more you're in it, it's like this thing is happening and you'll have these fake and false emotions and it totally fucks with your head and it's a twisty ride. Like I was trying to explain this thing to people and they didn't have that topic yet about grooming and grooming into adulthood. But I was a kid at the beginning, right? So I was groomed there. And so that's why I was saying when I'm seeing the Mila thing, I was like, oh, totally grooming, you know, because now as we're education, right? Progress, education. We were always abused. It wasn't that it wasn't abuse at the time. It was abuse then. He knows he's being abusive because he's taking advantage of a kid. And Katy Perry, I guess, what the fuck? Let's see where Katy Perry is in this because I remember. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's terrible. I'm just like, that's terrible. I didn't even realize this. Oh, why didn't Katy Perry say some shit? Did she not know about this? Like, what's going on here? Okay, so Katy Perry is 38. She was born in 1984. So they got married in 2010. So 84, 94, 2004. Oh, whoa, what? Okay, she's in her 20s. She was of age. I didn't know she was with Orlando Bloom, but okay. So right now, okay, 2010. They only lasted 2 years, you guys, and they were married till 2012. When did these allegations happen? I was like, wait a minute, it's actually all during that. That is a very short marriage, you guys. Alleging between 2006 and 2013. Now, I don't know if it's a thing where in 2010 to 12, nothing occurred there and he didn't cheat on her or anything else. And then after they separated, then he harmed somebody else. I don't know, but Katy Perry would definitely have a story to say because this type of guy wouldn't be any different with you. It's the same thing with Marilyn Manson. And so it's like something you guys are okaying to accept the way these men are behaving. And that's why I said it's not me, dude. It's me actually being on top of it, saying no, no, nope. And these women are just like, oh, you know, it's how they all are. It's what we're gonna do. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care if I'm annoying. I hope the hell that me talking about everything is just like getting into the brains of the right people. It's like this shit was bad. It was always bad. And he's jumping ahead of the story and he's trying to get fucking millions of people to think that it's a big conspiracy after him. That's hilarious. And then he brought Joe Rogan in, who's like the dumbest piece of shit out here. He's on that line next to Ashton where I'm like, very close to disabilities, you guys. Okay. Yeah, 16-year-old. At least Katie got rid of him. I was like, you know, it wasn't that long. She didn't waste too much time there. But she must have been dating him for a little bit before that, so I don't know what the hell was going on here. If they were dating and then he's off raping people, or if it's like, oh, I mean, I see it. Yeah, I mean, I totally believe it. It kind of like makes sense because I was like, he kind of just with me, so I was like, but I'm not into how he was talking either. Like he talks like I don't know if he thinks he's like some little guru guy that knows everything, but his narcissism is high. And the narcissist part of these guys are just too much. I am this like perfect guy. Do you hear me like trying to paint myself as a perfect self? I hope not, because I'm not, and I know I'm not. So they were always consensual. I was like, well, the women are saying it wasn't. You're the only one saying it was. I was like, you're alone, dude. What is your version of consensual? That thing, that voice in your head where you're like, I think this is a good idea. Yeah, me too. Okay, so we're gonna do it. And then you don't even consult with the women, you just do it. Nothing is consensual if you were with a 16-year-old, so I don't know what the fuck there. That was in LA? Because if it was in LA, we have the laws here for 18, so. And claimed that Brand pushed her up against a wall and raped her without a condom, and then she let Brandon tried to stop her leaving until she told him she was going to the bathroom. And I ran out and I jumped in my car, and thank God I didn't park in his driveway, and booked it out of there. And then Brand had hosted a number of radio TV things. And then he started his career stand up in the early 2000s, but got his big break a few years later. Big Brother, blah, blah. In his profile surge, Brand was cast in Hollywood films. I'm forgetting Sarah Marshall, get him, the Greek Arthur. The woman who said she was 16, she met Brand, told the Times that she took her allegations to the literary agent Honorald Wood, the co-founder of Tavistock Wood, owned by Curtis Brown, in 2020. They told the BBC Brand categorically and vehemently denied the allegations in 2020, but we now believe we are horribly misled by him. Yeah, Russell Brand vehemently denied the allegations made in 2020, but we now believe that we were horribly misled by him. So you listen to him over the women. Yes. That's okay. Tavistock Wood has terminated all professional ties to Brand. He looks absolutely psychotic, you guys. Look at his eyes. Holy fuck. There's something weird like that Jesus thing going on. No, tell me what it is, you guys. What is it? Fuck no. That dude looks loony as fucking shit. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, or trying to figure out. No, his pupils are not like, they're not huge, right? It's not that going on. When they were trying to say, oh, adrenaline. Okay, the thing I think they're talking about, like, adrenaline, wouldn't it be like your pupils being, like, gigantic, right? Well, in here, they're really tiny, and it has nothing to do with the actual pupil itself. What is it that's freaking me out? I don't know what it is, you guys, but it's totally obvious. It looks crazy. Fucking crazy. It's like fucking crazy. Is he always like this? I think so. No, Brittany has that manic. Yeah, no, fuck no. No, it is. Maybe it is some manic-y thing. What do you guys think of this? Like, what is it? What is it? Like, we see it. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of us have seen this, but then there's other people that don't notice this kind of crap. And it's just like, dude, I don't fucking know, but he looks like he's like Manic City or something. Like you would go, oh, psychopath. Like, that was the original thing that you might say for this. I couldn't sleep next to that thing. I'd be scared to death. He looks like somebody that would like pull out a knife in the middle, in the middle of the night. I love you. And it's like, fuck no. I wouldn't believe a goddamn word he said. Yeah, I love to kill you. Okay, so let me see. Even in other images. No, his eyes are like that always. Always. Manicky looking. That fucking weird ass fucking shit right there. He totally looks like a cult leader. That's what it is. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, and Eline is another one who like needs a head doctor because he's a total sociopath.